Welcome back to another exciting episode of AI4U. We're very excited to have two guests to join us today, Dr. Zhan Li, the Dean of the Fairfield Dolan School of Business, and Dr. Anca Micu, the Senior Associate Dean of the Fairfield Dolan School of Business and author of the brand new AI Made Simple book. We have a really exciting day today, an exciting episode with, of course, Dr. Jay Tao, the director of the Fairfield AI and Tech Institute, the professor, award-winning teacher, award-winning researcher. We're going to discuss the future of AI and education, how innovation leads and encourages leadership with people and with AIs. There's some amazing parallels between the experiential learning, the philosophy of the school, and what probably will end up becoming an important way of managing the institutions and the systems of AI. So welcome aboard. Let's get going. All right, Dean Li, let's start with you. You have a new initiative, a new push for AI literacy across the entire business school, not just a little bit here and there, not drips and drabs, but an entire initiative, which is quite unique. Tell us about the core vision behind that.
Okay. First of all, this is the vision of our faculty, of our advisory board, our alumni. They all really voice the sense of urgency that with AI really revolutionize everything we do, right? So how can we make sure our students are prepared, equipped to not only survive but thrive in this AI-dominated world? We all read the news that we see quite often that company laying off people because of AI, particularly the entry-level jobs. And recently, a couple of days ago, we just saw an article from Wall Street Journal talk about some big name company actually let people go, people who are not quite AI literate, who are not open to change towards AI. And you read the news that the company, a major consulting company, are letting those kind of people go. So without AI literacy, without AI readiness, our students, all the students, are facing a very challenging job market if we're not prepared them well, right? Also, even they hired some time ago or later, they need AI literacy and essential skills to do well, to thrive in the new world. So given that kind of what's happening, and given our mission of the university, we always say the short version of our university mission has 6 words: value-based, student-centered, outcome-focused, right? When we say outcome, we mean students have internship and jobs, not just first job, but seventh job and lifelong success. So that really means that we are really concerned and excited about the opportunity, how to prepare our students to be a powerful, impactful leaders in the AI dominant world. So that's our vision of the university, and because the outcome focused vision really require us, calling on us to prepare students with AI literacy. Dolan mission, short version of it really is developing principled leaders for a better world and lifelong success. Again, with AI dominant world, lifelong success require students to have minimally AI literacy, right? So with all the university mission, our Dolan mission and vision, and what do we try to do here, we are obligated to really have a program, curriculum, workshop, certification, all kinds of things to make sure our students are AI, not just literate, but AI ready, right? AI ready to lead, to use AI, to leverage AI, but also lead with AI in the new AI dominant world. So that's the vision.
That sounds really great. So, and it's also, maybe it's worth comparing AI literacy with other forms of literacy, right? Like if you just wanted to have literacy, you take a class on how to read, right? Or financial literacy, you could take one class. But the things you're describing, the workshops, the curriculum, everything is changing. It's not just we're going to add one more course, so now you're AI literate, right? It's something much deeper than that. That's what makes it unique.
Towards that, I can elaborate a little bit. As you're aware of that, Dolan School, Dolan faculty are really has been discussing and exploring all kinds of options for our students to be AI ready, to be AI literate, and more. Right? For example, you're aware of that. Some of our department, yours is one of them, really try to develop some AI specific program, applied AI major, applied AI minor, at a graduate level, MS AI and analytics and all the things. All faculty are in the curriculum committee are talking about how can we make sure broadly all the students graduate from Dolan, not just people who are interested in diving into AI, but everybody have the minimum AI literacy and essential skills. And then part of the option that faculty were exploring whether or not all the required business courses or some of the required business courses can embed AI literacy into it. That's one option. Another option is the AI. We established AI Institute, AI and Technology Institute in Dolan School of Business as a hub of knowledge, and Jay is the director of the institute. In that, there's a group of faculty we call Dolan Advanced AI Team, really try to develop materials for fundamental AI literacy knowledge. Maybe the faculty have some way to encourage or require students to take all of them, right? So that's another option the faculty exploring. There's other options that people are thinking about is different ways of tagging different courses with the different content of AI to make sure that AI is embedded, well spread through our entire curriculum so that every student graduate from Dolan and doesn't matter grad, undergrad, are fully prepared, literate, and ready for the AI world. So there's a lot of options that's happening. So that's a little bit meat, right? Details how we might translate the vision we talked about earlier into some operational details level. Yeah.
Let's talk about that. So when a graduate, undergrad or grad, enters the job market, um, they want to distinguish themselves from two groups of people, right? From people who are graduating from other universities who didn't have this AI focused in their curriculum, and also in a sense from people who graduated earlier, right, and never had the opportunity to learn AI.
Yeah. So let's stress the second group who graduate without AI training or knowledge. So that's why the AI and Technology Institute that we launched, that Jay Tao is heading, can come into play. They're helping those alumni and students or audience in a broader sense in the community have some certificate program about AI essential, right? So that's one option among many that we're thinking about how we being a man and woman for others that we're talking about for the greater good, right? We're talking about that's our mental for AI Institute. So that's one way. So if you say that how we can prepare our students, Dolan, that's different, that's more effective in the AI world. Not only that, they have the basic AI literacy and essential knowledge, which we talked about earlier through the many of the options. But as you know, Fairfield University has have a liberal arts core, the Magis Core, really emphasize on humanities, right? Arts, science, histories, right? You name it. That's really about humanity. So our student, every student in Fairfield University, including Dolan business students, go through that core. So that part in the AI world, the AI is very technology driven. So how we can prepare our students not only with essential AI skills, but have the humanity, have the sense of human history, human culture, human way of thinking, creativity, problem solving. Right, that's one part of it. Dolan mission we talked about earlier really emphasize on develop principled leaders. That means ethical leaders, right? Emphasis on ethics is another strength that we can claim at Fairfield University, being not only unique but different, right? Compared with other universities who only prepare students for AI essentials, right? Or not even have AI essential at all, like you said earlier, right? So our students graduate from Dolan not only have the AI essential skills, knowledge, but also have the strong sense of humanity from our liberal arts core and have a strong sense of ethics. So our students will be ready to not only leverage AI and utilize AI for the greater good, to be for a productive world, but also they'll become masters of AI. They emphasize not only the strengths of AI, but also be mindful about the weakness of AI by exercising greater sense of humanity and greater level of ethics, right? So that's how our students will be better off, better prepared compared with this university who don't have AI literacy program, or they have AI literacy program, but they don't have the liberal arts core, the Magis Core, and the ethics requirement, which we require every student to take applied ethics in Dolan uh, before they can graduate. So, hope that answered your question.
No, that's wonderful. It sounds like a really holistic package. So it makes sense from the school, from the students. What about, you mentioned employers. What about the employers who will be hiring these new amazing students that we're putting out? How should these companies evolve to better leverage and take advantage of this new kind of talent that you've described?
I think that at this moment, people are in the craziness of AI this and AI that. So they really focus on a lot on the technological aspect of it, integrated into their business operations, right? That's natural because they don't want to fall behind their competitors. So they focus on the adoption of AI quickly. But sooner or later, they're going to realize that just having the technology in their operations, in their strategy is not enough. They need people who not only know how to use AI, leverage AI, how to work with AI, but also above and beyond AI in the sense that the humanity, the ethics, because as you know, AI is wonderful, very powerful, but AI also trained AI are trained by models, right? The models sometimes have a built-in bias and they tend to raise ethical issues. So our students be ready to tackle that. I think sooner or later that the employer will find out that yes, they want people to have skills, AI skills, but they're also going to value people who have more than that, the humanity, the ethics we talked about earlier. But you already noticed that recently there's another major consulting firm or big four firm has a little brouhaha, about their AI uses AI for consulting work, right? Happened in Australia, that I will not name, but you can see that as part of understanding not just AI knowledge, but how to use AI efficiently, effectively, and ethically, right? So
That makes a lot of sense. And now, so Jay, as the director of you straddle a lot of different roles, right? You're obviously both in the industry, you're in academia, you're a scholar, but you also see you meet with clients, so you see the things that Dr. Dean Li is describing from their perspective, from the corporate side. What are some of the pain points that you see in with your clients that this new batch of exceptional talent and students can help address?
I think it's a very good point because when we deal with clients, when we deal with employers, they could be employers. What they're looking for is not a tech demo. A lot of students, or the potential applicants for a job, they come to interviews, they show them a tech demo, all these flashy tags putting together, and it's very impressive. But as a consultant, to be honest, I don't think anybody will pay for a tech demo. They're paying for a solution to their problem. So I think it's very creative in the school of business. We are actually emphasizing AI because most people think that's an engineering, that's a technology thing, but it's not a technology thing. Ding Li, just like you said, I think a lot of these non-tech skills are actually very important because the literacy part, the essential part, is actually not that hard. And particularly these days, we can show them, like I said, in a workshop in a few hours. We do that all the time. But on the other side, how do you actually discover a problem? How do you explore potential solutions? How do you evaluate them? These are human skills that we give our students in the business school. Been doing that for years with or without AI. And I think that's why our students are getting hired, and that's why a consultant is getting a consulting gig.
And it's replacing the entry-level jobs, right, with more leadership-oriented capabilities and basically managing the AIs. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I want to jump in here that I think that when we talk about AI strategy, AI approach towards business education will be the holistic, full consideration of using AI or integrating AI into business education for the next generation of leaders. I think about that. So all the things we talked about, AI literacy program earlier, good. We talk about humanities, ethics, important, right? All those are important. But also, we have to answer and help our students to address the issue that many and more employers are not are hiring fewer entry-level jobs because AI can do this. That raises the question: how for undergraduate student, 18 to 22, when they graduate here, and then Dolan, at the other university of 22 years old, how can they jump into a job, an employment opportunity that actually is higher than entry-level job, right? That's an issue that AI also created. It's not technical, right? But is important. I think that's why you remember at Dolan, we have this new initiative called experiential learning, right? Experiential learning really is providing essential, fundamental skills about basic business world, how they operate, right? The basic knowledge, basic understanding, and basic skills. So it happened that we did that before this AI conversation happened in earnest, right? But you can see that's an important piece of puzzle for a business school to prepare our students for the essential entry-level job skills they require, expected, right, from the employer in this AI world. So we can go down to detail, talk about exactly what we do within that, experiential learning. But we can, if we need necessary, we can do that. But I think overall, we are aware of this non-technical challenge that AI created, and we have an initiative and prepare our students for the basic fundamental skills and entry-level job through Fairfield Dolan's experiential learning program.
That makes sense. It's like it was ready for AI to come along, right? We've had all the components of it before, and now with AI, it's even better. That's great. Anca, let's turn to you. You have a new book out, AI Made Simple, and if you don't mind, I appreciate your autograph. That would be awesome. It's AI Made Simple. Tell us, what was the core motivation behind it? Who did you feel most needed to hear this message?
So I think the roots of this book are in my first days in advertising, actually. So if you think about interacting and what's important in interacting with AI, interacting with it, it's not a technical skill, as we just established, it's communication. So I started in my professional career in the first creative department of the first ad agency in Romania, and this was in the 90s. It's the times of Pepsi and the Spice Girls. I don't know, I'm dating myself here.
We love Pepsi. We love the Spice Girls.
So the market there, it's interesting if you were curious about how people adapt to change and how they're curious about new things. So that was the time when that was a post-communist era market ready for new things. And the origin of this book is truly trying to bridge that, people are not afraid of innovation or of new things. They're actually afraid of being left out. So if this book is for not only for our students, it's not part of a school initiative on AI literacy, it's for them and their parents and their grandparents, for anybody who's curious and who are willing to put in the effort, or if they're not thinking of it as an effort, that's even better. And it's for those times when you think, well, let's ask chat and see what it says. So then you can take the book and say, well, what's the best way to ask? Because the most important skill a copywriter and an ad agency needs to have, it's to convey sometimes a very complex message in very few words with the desire of getting your outcome that you want from that message. And I think that's critical in interacting with the AI, because the skills that are not technical are basically, can you convey a message in an efficient number of words? Can you then critically analyze what you're getting back? And can you judge basically if that's what you want to use or not? So the judgment is still with you, and it's all in communication.
I really like that approach, and it's AI sometimes does really brilliant things, right? It's sometimes, especially in condensing things to just a few words, it can be mind-blowing in what it finds connections and poetically structures them. But of course, sometimes it's completely off the rails. So what I like about what you're saying and in your book is the back and forth, right? The teamwork, both with the AI and the humans, to try to find those gems and separate out the non-gems.
So it takes practice. Again, if the book is this bridge between the new world and I was actually rereading Future Shock. I don't know if you've read this book. It's by Alvin Toffler. It's written in the 70s about how people will be affected by the speed of the newness. He did talk about technological advances. So I think the more you use it, the more comfortable you are. And that creates understanding. That creates trust with the tool. And that's something, understanding and trust is critical. It's critical in the work environment. We're talking about companies that are like not taking out all the entry-level jobs. It's it's important to know how to communicate with the AI and understand that. And the more people you know it, then they suddenly speak the same language. So that creates understanding. And if leadership teams come in and say, it's so exciting, this is great, we can do this and that in the company with AI, many times people hear jobs being eliminated, this is not as great. And it's just because of there's a lack of common language. So the more you use it, it doesn't, the guides in this book are about very basic everyday things where you can use it. But if you use it for everyday things, you suddenly talk about, oh, I do need to understand, I do need to use critical thinking and picking out, as you were saying, Phil, picking out what's important from or what's useful, because humans still have the context and the meaning. The AI can put together words very nicely together, but the meaning and the context are with the human in the loop. Even knowing human in the loop, knowing AI slop, that it'll be there and it's not very pleasant, it's all on social media everywhere. That's the common language where now you've used it, you understand, you talk the same language with your leadership at some point. You know kind of what's important in when you are introducing AI. And that from there you start creativity. So you're on the same page. You're now finding solutions together rather than, oh, this is something new. It's very complex. I'm not picking it up as an innovation because it's too complex for me to process.
That makes sense. And so, of course, as you said, your book goes beyond just our business students. Of course, it's for them too, but it's for the general public, right? It's for everybody to understand. And I like what you're saying about, it creates a common language, a basic understanding together. What are some of the risks of, suppose other people didn't know, right? And we just created these very narrow AI specialists and just had an elite of AI and people who didn't know.
It's I feel it's like everybody riding on somebody else's bus. Like it's going pretty fast and actually more efficient and faster. You just don't know where it's going. So you want everybody on the bus to understand where it's going. And it's like almost like civic literacy. You want to know, you want as many people to understand what it is, because otherwise you create this dependency on the few who are the chosen ones, and they're up there and they understand the technical side and what it can do and where it can go. So it's incumbent upon everybody who knows it and uses it and teaches and to truly spread the word and have as many people out there truly experiment with it and see if it's a good thing. And again, it's communication. It's back to HAL 9000. HAL 9000 didn't malfunction because of some technical difficulty. It was a miscommunication in the end. It got two messages and got confused about it. So, yeah, it's a lot to be said about communicating with everybody and kind of bringing everybody on the same page.
That makes sense. Like across society. What about within a professional organization? How can this help to unify or prevent silos from happening?
It's back to I'll come back to advertising in Romania in the 90s. Everything was new. We're building an industry. There was no audience research, no consumer audience report to pull from anywhere. And you were just stay up late at night and figure out what's the best strategy. You're kind of making up an industry as you go. And that comes with excitement from leadership and with modeling how you would go about it and kind of trying to spread that excitement and curiosity that you have to everyone. I think in a corporate environment, it's less about like crafting policies and sending a memo that would direct this or that. I think that sort of turns people off, to be honest. So it's more about if you see your boss's boss, they're all using it. They're finding useful things about it. They're like putting in the garbage what's not useful about it and sharing that experience. It's like people then would want to come along with you and experiment. So it suddenly becomes this exciting project where you can use your creativity and think about things together rather than, again, more of a kind of a push on you would have to do this particular thing and here's our policy by which you would have to implement it and you better implement it by this deadline. I think that kills creativity. It kills the excitement that employees would have.
I really like that connection between AI and advertising because there can be times when you know what you're doing is the right thing. It's just obvious. This is the right answer. AI got it. Thank you, AI. Or the advertising just clicks. This is obvious. But in both cases, correct me if I'm wrong, there's often you don't know what's right. You don't know which advertising campaign would work, right? The standard half my marketing budget is bad, but I don't know which half. Or same with AI. You don't know if it'll work. So both of them seem to require the same element, things you're talking about, creativity or taste. How do you know when you're on the right track with both of them?
It's asking why Just Do It worked for Nike versus buy our shoes. They're 15.7% more adherent to the ground than the next rubber-soled shoe. And that wouldn't, so it's about intuition. And I think that's a profoundly human aspect. For now. I think most AI is developed to be more efficient than human, so it actually takes out the humanness. I think that's why companies are picking up, it's better to do an AI agent because it will eliminate this much percent of errors. I think I've read it's 37% more efficient if you use AI with the human skills. So it's actually, I would be a proponent of using AI and human skills together because the AI was developed to take away human errors or basically the humanity of what we do. But then us as humans, we do have that intuition of what would work. We have the context. That's very subtle many times. Just like with the Just Do It, it works because it struck a chord with a large percentage of the population. So just have them work together.
I like that approach. And the idea of explanations and seeking why. Yeah.
I just jump in. This really sparked me to think about when we talk about leadership, where we're here in the business school, really try to develop the next generation of leaders, right? And leadership, they will say, what's leadership? And this is debate in the literacy. But end of the day is leadership is art and a science combination, right? Particularly in this day and age, and with analytics and big data and AI. So the numbers, analytics, AI has to be part of the decision-making process. There's a sort of, we call them science, okay? Sometimes science have error with AI. But what Anca just said is not just that. It's not enough, right? Actually, when you're adding art, that's human, right? Humanity, into that. It makes this actually a more effective leadership. So
That makes a lot of sense. So your book's called AI Made Simple. Can you make it even simpler? What would you say is the single biggest misconception that people have about AI?
I think the biggest misconception is thinking AI is not for me. I'm not a techie, and I'm just gonna stay away from this one. I think that's a big misconception. As we established, AI is communication. So if you're willing to communicate, put in a message, evaluate what's coming back, and then continuing that process, you're using AI. So yeah, it's not a tech. It's not for techies only.
Yeah, don't miss the bus.
Pretty much.
Or-
Be on that bus.
or-
You know where it's going.
Yeah.
or consider AI. Think about being make it simpler, even more simpler. AI is fun. AI is adventures. Right? It's fun, right?
I love what you're talking. Actually, both of you are talking about similar things, which is putting the person back in the center, right? The human focus. Tell us about that.
So, I mean, I know there's been a lot of conversation about human in the loop, but then how do you, as an organization, how do you put the human in the front? Is AI is new, people fear it, and I think the more experienced you are, you're really good at certain things, and you're not sure if the things you're good at are going to be relevant. So that fear goes away with language, with talking, with conversations. And once that common language is there, you start to innovate, and then you kind of think about what are common goals, and how can you get there with this combination now of the skill set that you have and the machine, right?
Yeah, that's a really important point. So you guys have talked to both about the importance of innovation. There's a lot of innovative things that are happening at Dolan. It's not like this is the one thing you're doing is AI initiative, right? It's been innovative for a long time. There's lots of new programs. How do you foster an environment of such innovation?
Before I answer that question, I was intrigued by Anca's response about to your question about putting human in front of AI. I think let me answer that, share some of my thought on that before we answer the innovation of Dolan. I think that even with AI, no matter how good it is, you need human to see, evaluate whether or not the outcome it is correct. Because we know AI is trained based on the models, right? Models, we said earlier, that doesn't matter how wonderful the training is, the models sometimes are built in with a bias based on personal experience of individual, collective individuals, and so on. So as long as that there's that chance of error, chance of inaccuracy, that you need human to really look at that, to evaluate the outcome of AI or the decision AI recommended. So you need a human. Human always need to be there to evaluate. Also, AI, if you think about all the ideas, solutions come out of AI's outcome inquiries. Those ideas are really based on what's already happened, right? Because that's how AI, large language model being trained, is based on what happens, is what happened. So the AI can search big database and come up with a solution that think meet your situation. But the question is debatable: is can AI create new solutions that never happened before, right? So in that sense, that human, we may come up with some solutions the AI had never had a database to be trained on, right? So I think the question is, AI can produce, AI can generate, can AI create? So that's the important distinction. We know human can create, right? So that's another reason that you need to put human together or in front of AI to look at that outcome, the suggestions, before you can make good, better decisions. So that's another I'm thinking I want to share with you that I think this question you asked, putting AI in front of or together with put a human in front of AI is an important one.
I think, and this is such a good comment on having the human in the loop and having the human element, because most organizations function on the things that need to be done, but then there's also these relationships among the employees. So there's always a human, there's always a manager, a team, people interact with each other. So as we think about including AI somewhere, we would think about somebody managing a hybrid team of humans and AI. How do you do that? I think that's increasingly important to consider as we develop leaders for tomorrow, in terms of those leaders have to understand what the AI can do. And we're here mostly to talk about how do you do that and what's, in coursework and degrees and programming to make sure we do that. But then the human side is, understanding what happens if you just eliminated the one person that actually brought the team together. Or even worse, you eliminated the person that nobody liked, but that was the most innovative person on the team. And that's why they were disagreeing every time with everybody else. So that was like the first person that came to mind to be replaced by AI. But now there's no progress because maybe that person was the most innovative. So you always have to keep into account first as a human, how you interact with AI, make sure you check it, make sure it's ethical, what it's doing. And then having the context that the AI doesn't have. It may have tons of data behind it, but it doesn't have the particular context that you're in, that your organization is in at that point in time, that your team is in at that point in time. Those are the people who you interact with on a daily basis, and they're doing something. So I think
I couldn't agree more with what Anca just said, but I want to really emphasize the ethical part of it, right? We just talk about that. Sometimes AI is not built with full awareness and training in ethical decisions. So quite often, that solution that came out or recommended to us doesn't have the full consideration of ethical implication, right? That's where the human need to come in and to understand and digest and imagine the implication of AI recommended decisions. So it's another reasons not only we need human to create, we also need human for the really profound and thorough ethical evaluation of AI before we're executing.
it might be legal what it recommends because it can read as many laws, but it may or may not be ethical to Dini's point in that sense, because that's a moral code that's not written in the laws necessarily. So
Hey, sorry that we would take so long to drag our answer to your question about how Dolan innovate, right? Because innovation is the name of the game in the 21st century, because 21st century is already technology driven world, and the future will be even more technology driven, right? Particularly AI driven. And so AI is part of the continuum of innovation, right? In our mankind and in the human history. So Dolan has been on the front line leading innovations in many front. For example, the curriculum, right? Programs. That's where we engage our students through learning. We have launched a lot of new programs, innovative program that you're aware of. For example, the FinTech, MS FinTech is a financial technology program, very much innovative, right? And then tie in with the innovation technology. Yeah. And also, you guys are part of this new AI concentration for MBA, right? We were among the first in the nation and launched that. Yeah, it was actually, it was a news story picked up by Post and Quants. Talk about, Fairfield Dolan MBA AI concentration, right? So, this is another example where really leading a lot of innovation. But
It's hard to imagine in a few years that, I don't know, maybe 10, but at some point, why would anyone do an MBA without AI, right?
yeah. And then also, you guys are working on this. That our Dolan University undergraduate curriculum committee just approved the applied AI minor, right? That's another innovation. And you have more things cooking in your department and among other departments. For example, the applied AI major. And also the master level of AI analytics integration that you guys are working on. Those are really fascinating, innovative, cutting edge program. Are excellent examples that Dolan are really leading the trends, right?
And a lot of other departments also are incorporating AI into their various
Yeah.
curriculum courses throughout, like
Yeah,
very
our marketing
organically. Yeah.
departments, right? Accounting department, many departments are really integrating AI into our student learning and our teaching.
Which really helps elevate, right, what the students are doing. They're not learning, in a sense, they're learning the same things that they've always learned, but they're learning at a higher level that they could do more things.
Another one area that we're leading innovation is engaging employers. Because remember, the university mission, value-based, student-centered, outcome-focused. The outcome-focused, we want to make sure students have the internship and job when they graduate, right? So engaging employer is important part of that process, helping students have a great career outcome. We have done a lot of innovative ways of engaging employers. For example, we established an advisory council for every discipline: marketing, finance, analytics, accounting, you name it, right? So that's very extensive.
And the members on these boards and councils are world leaders.
Yes, they're really business executives and leaders and very knowledgeable about each discipline. So that's another innovation. Another innovation is our career center. Really have all kinds innovative program. I remember I bumped to this table in our hallway sometime. Depending this morning, afternoon, we have different people sitting there, and then they call it snack and chat, right? It's different employer coming to campus in the hallway or lobby and put on snacks and chatting with our students. Why they're here? Because they want our students, right? They know our students are talented and good, well prepared. And it's another innovation how we engage employer, right? So many, and then we did a co-op program with many financial companies, right? The students actually have 6 months long, off, right? So that's so many example of innovation. I'm sure Anca will have more examples how we innovate.
So there's a lot. I'm going to stress this point of employer engagement, and I know we're kind of all smiling here, and we said stack and chat, and what's a practitioner to do at the table in the business school, first floor. But it's an opportunity for the students to engage with practitioners and learn what they do day to day, build that network of then gaining internships. And I know earlier we talked about how because of AI, there are a number of entry-level jobs that are being eliminated, and our students get that entry-level experience while they're students. They do close to 2, it's like, I think it's 1.8 internships per student, which means many students do 2 internships before they graduate. They get that work experience, that real-world interaction, and that in addition to the innovative coursework. So I think innovation happens as not only in the classroom, as we said, in all of the areas, but then also in the way students interact with practitioners, professionals, get exposure to companies outside of the classroom. So it's this plan all along is like class and outside of class that really helps them help that outcome focus.
Yeah, speaking of that, and how we engage in power in innovative way, engaging way. You guys know that we have this stacks in theory, right? You have stacks in finance, stack in marketing, stack in analytics, stack in management, you name it, right? So each discipline, each major area have their own stack in series where alumni, employer come here in the school conference room, event space, mingle and talk to our students for hours, right? So that's another example of innovation that we do, how we engage employers and give a student the opportunity to learn, right, to grow professionally. So many great things. Dolan, that's innovative, is cutting edge.
Stacks in ethics on the road.
Stacks.
The students to the companies.
Yeah, we talk about ethics, talk about our mission, our Jesuit mission, right? Our career center and our weight center for applied ethics team together. They already brought this to EY and Deloitte, other companies, to talk about ethics on the road, mean in their headquarters, in the company, with the professional and our student together, talk about real life ethical issues and how you resolve that, what lesson you learn, right? So those are some really innovative ways how we do things.
That's awesome. And now, one of the things people say about AI is it'll allow individuals to create the world's first single employee unicorn, right? Startups. And we have an amazing entrepreneurship center, startups center. If you're going to be in a startup space, if you want to do something in the world and change the world and you're going to use AI, you're probably going to do it somewhere in the Northeast where the population density is high. If you're going to be in the Northeast in America, where you have the center of capitalism and then you can grow your business. So you're going to be in America, you're going to be on the East Coast. Where are you going to be? Probably near New York, but not in New York. So you're going to be in Connecticut. If you're in Connecticut, you might as well be at the best startup location at Fairfield. So we have the core of the universe here, right? Might be the source of a lot of future unicorns, AI building. That's literally engineering innovation, right?
Great question, great comments, Phil. As you know, that our Fairfield Startup Program is known for a decade, right? To be successful, helping our students to launch their business. So many examples. You know that many are very successful. So I won't go into the detail, name them, but also don't forget that our Fairfield Startup also have Silicon Valley Immersion Program. So our students not just thrive and prosper here in the Northeast, right? But also they go to Silicon Valley, right? This epicenter of innovation startup world, right? And they mingle with successful startup billionaires, right? Executives, and learn firsthand how they start their business, how they're successful. So we do our Fairfield Startup not only very strong here, well, highly respect here in the Northeast, but we are going to in the Silicon Valley multiple times, right? Yeah.
I think we do have the perfect ecosystems, like Silicon Alley, where we do have the technology, the connections to that, and then that spirit of innovation in the school
In New York.
that fuels that. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot of funds in Connecticut and a lot of angel investors come here all the time. It's a huge place. It's wonderful.
We host Angel Investor Forum every first Tuesday of the month.
Yeah.
It's right in the Dolan School of Business building.
Think
So
about
if you
that.
want to see how startups happen and how they get funded, as a student, you just need to walk downstairs.
wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's really amazing. So one of the takeaways that seems to be the theme coming through here is it's not an ivory tower, right? The right metaphor is a bridge. It's a combination. It's blending the academic and the industry. So who better to represent that than Jay? One of the things I'm hoping you can tell us a bit about is your impetus and your thinking of how you created this workshop, right? We've been talking about in previous episodes, the AI-based business process automation. How do you elevate both the industries and the clients as well as the students and, create heaven on earth?
I think the key thing what we're looking at here is like Ding Li and Dr. Micu said, is we're not living in vacuum, right? Whatever we are creating has to be grounding on something. And according to this very new MIT report, we're not building things out of vacuum. It has to be based on real world problems. And how do you discover real world problems is one of the, I guess, hopefully one of the latest innovation we're doing here at Dolan is, there are two ways of doing this. One way is you can have, say, a student as hired at a company and trying to boil the ocean, basically. Here is how we do things. Now you introduce AI to that. We have genius students. They can do that. But is that the most efficient way to do that? I don't think it's a question of yes or no, if they can or if they cannot. Is that the most efficient way? So from my experience or from, and even, this MIT report, pointing out the winners in the Gen AI age, what they do is they focus on just a very teeny tiny pain point. Instead of a whole workflow, they focus on one thing in that workflow. They shoot for the low-hanging fruit. They shoot for the quick win here and there. So that's how they do that. And in spirit of our, AI BPA, AI-based business process automation, the first thing we ask users to do, or participants to do, is to look at this process and identify that low-hanging fruit, the lowest hanging fruit that you can discover. So, where like what Dr. Micu said, when we talk about adoption, people don't have time to wait for that long winding wing in 6 months. They want to see something in 2 weeks. If you don't have anything in 2 weeks, I'm sorry, this thing.
You have to understand the full business process.
Yes.
So
yes, exactly. So that's why I think having this in the business school where students have enough domain knowledge to understand the whole business process is very important. But they need. But when they come to real jobs, they have to change gear a little bit, having that business process on their mind, but focus on that little thing that will give them the quick win.
That's great. Can you give us some examples? I know you've had some student teams work with companies and stuff, right?
Yeah. So one of the example is a logistic company we're dealing with. They want to actually use AI. Everybody wants to use AI, but everybody is skeptical about, how can this help me, right? So there are two ways of doing this. The traditional way, is basically we're going to have a case study looking at, how you guys do things and analyze, okay, we can use AI to re-engineer your whole business process of ordering. And that's it, right? And they can be very impressive. You're going to have a AI-based ordering process. Problem is, you can easily fall into the trap of what we talk about, a tech demo. Your whole thing looks like a tech demo. And like we said, nobody's paying for the tech demo, right? They're paying for that little thing. For example, in case, instead of ordering, can you just automate the supplier selection part of ordering? Just that part. Because now we realize that the company, there are 4 full-time employees spending 30 plus hours every week just on that. Can we use AI to automate that? And that, when we show them, okay, now you can save 70% of the time and cost just on that simple task, people will buy in. And I think, it's brilliant when Dr. Micu mentioned, this is, very important when people trying to push things from very high up. Then there is resistance. There's not only resistance. Actually, according to this MIT report, resistance is not the only problem. The other problem is, when people high up make a decision, we're going to buy this AI product, they may not fully aware how people actually do things every day, right? So a lot of these winners in the AI war, they actually, on the side of the gap, we would say, they actually let the people who work on these things daily, they include that in the decision making of this is the tool we're building.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I think what Dr. Jitao is talking about here is really remind me what is the essence is about lead change and change management. That's what you're talking about, right? So we know that there's all kinds of change innovation going on, and that every organizations are thinking about adopting this and that. All that's involved is about change management, how we lead change, right? So that's really the essential issue that your example is talking about, right? How we can get people on board, right, on the bus, right? Embrace AI, and enhance your process and efficiency or effectiveness, right? So I think I just wanted to point that out that is a really good example that it relates to the AI phenomena we were talking about here. Earlier, we were talking about technology side of it, humanity, but now the AI revolution also require a strong perspective about change management, leadership and change, right? Change management. So just want to point it out that AI's issue is such a widespread.
It's true. And I think it's phenomenal that we have the AI and Tech Institute in the school, because I think this is one example, and probably of many, that students and faculty in the school can be exposed to understand how critical it is to be a good leader and be able to see the whole picture, the full business process, like truly have that view from above, but at the same time be capable of narrowing and zeroing in on one item and then understanding what that piece does. So it's kind of this duality of you need all of the skills for leadership, humanities, to make you a good leader and be able to understand. And again, change doesn't happen by memo, it happens by conversation. So you do need to be a good leader. And then at the same time have some of the technical understanding and the business understanding of what each piece does. So I think that's phenomenal, again, to have that environment be present in the school and those lessons basically from industry.
And to add on to that, I think, one of the things we do at the institute and even at Dolan is a lot of times we actually break down the walls of the classrooms. We go out, right, to Silicon Valley, to these employers. We embed students in actual, working conditions, co-op programs, internships, and they actually have to solve real problems. And, and they have the best of both worlds, right? They have to face real problems that will better prepare them. And, we're not just throwing them out to the wolves. And as faculty, we're there to hold their hands, to stand behind them and back them up, right? So they actually have the best of both worlds. And this is what we want to do. Using this particular workshop, AIBPA as an example, this is what we want to do. We want to work with people that actually have a real problem. Either, you're coming from a company, this is what you do every day. I don't know how to introduce, AI into this process. We'll help you. We'll give you an AI-powered process afterwards. Or, you're considering, introducing AI into your company. We can actually design, customized solutions to your problem. So in that way, I think, we are following, Dolan and Fairfield's, education for the whole person, and Dolan's, always innovative, spirits of doing things. And this is not the only thing we're doing, of course.
Yeah, the one thing that really comes out from what everything all of you guys are saying is leadership, the importance of leadership. And there's a famous quote, good leaders create followers. And I think this applies to your workshop and the way you teach AIs too. Good leaders create followers. Great leaders create other great leaders.
Yes.
So if you're in the world of AI and you're creating little mindless tools that, little tools, fine, you could do that. But I've heard you talk before, and maybe you can tell us more details about this concept of meta teaching, where you can create agentic-based AI that's more thoughtful, that can include creativity, right? The human plus AI is greater than AI. The idea that Dr. Chris Huntley talked, he's the head of the startup we co-teach. He tries to tell our students this one important point: human plus AI is greater than AI. So tell us about that, Jay.
So the teaching part is easy, right? We're teachers. We teach students. But meta teaching is basically the teaching of teaching, which is very interesting. So for many years, we've been teaching students to be leaders in finance, in marketing, in accounting. But maybe with the presence of AI, maybe we should change a little bit. Maybe we should change at least the mentality a little bit. We're no longer teaching leaders in specific industries. We're teaching teachers in specific industries. And maybe it's a very interesting thing, right? Why we want to teach them to be like ourselves. It's actually a different kind of teachers, which is, what I've been talking about, since for quite a while. I think Phil and I have been thinking about, where higher education is going for quite a while. And I think this is one of the important things is to teach the teachers. And our students become teachers of AI agents. They teach AI agents how they do things, how they are supposed to do things. I think we touched upon this. The entry-level jobs are being eliminated. They're not being eliminated. They're just being automated, right? And I think, Dr. Micu, you said, we want that human element. We still want that human element in these automation. Even after this automation, we still want that human touch, that human element. How do we do that? We cannot just rely on, some perfectly trained large language model to carry our bidding, right? I don't think that's going to work. So what we need to do is train our students. How do we elevate them? Train our students so they can actually teach these agents, see, this is not how you do this. This is how I would do this. Next time, do it this way. So in that way, I think, we always been talking about, giving fish is worse than, teach them how to fish. But I think now we have a better way, another level of elevation beyond teaching them how to fish, because we have been teaching them how to fish. Now, in this new age, we need to help them build a fish farm where they can directly get fish from the farm, but they need to know how to build a farm. They need to know how the farm works. And I think that's what we meant by meta teaching is, we still teach them the same thing as we taught them, before, the principles of marketing, the principles of finance and accounting. And this become those grounding rules they can give the agents. Here is how you should act as a, as a financial analyst. This is how I would act as a financial analyst.
I think that's a phenomenally innovative idea. And just because, again, coming from advertising, I always have the audience in mind. As a higher educator, I have the students in mind. So I was ready to quote back that from Toffer, because I'm reading this Future Shock book. It said the illiterate of the 21st century are going to be the people who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. So, and I'm like, yeah, our undergraduates just learn. Our graduate students need to unlearn and relearn. Yeah. But I think what Jay Tao just said, it's forget about what the human needs to do. And I know as an education institution, we're very much focused on that. What do we need to teach the AI? And I think that's completely very much innovative of changing that perspective. And it's great to have that in the school, and then think about it in terms of, as a student and then later as an employee, I'm in charge of this AI, and I need to make sure it does what I want it to do in a way that I want it, that's ethical, that is efficient, that is whichever way I want it to work. And I think that's awesome.
How I would do it, how I as a human would do it. Yeah.
So that's I think. I'm thinking about my earlier comment. Without knowing this conversation, I think where our job is I mentioned that, and not only our job is really develop students who can leverage and use AI as a tool, right? Use AI as AI's strengths, but really develop a student to be the masters of AI, right? To not only what to do with AI, but how you can master the AI to really create things that you want, right? Like you said, being the master part of that. I thought this kind of conversation remind my early thinking, actually helped me think a little even more what being master of AI really means, right? So I'm really learning from the 2 and 3 professors here too.
I wonder if we should ask you all what would be your predictions for the next year.
But before that, I do want to emphasize one more point. Yeah. I think this change is drastic. Is basically changing every aspect of the society. Since we are talking about higher education here in this episode, I do want to say, at least my personal understanding, I would love to hear your opinion on this, is I think this actually put a much higher bar for me and my colleagues. How do we do our job? How do we actually respond to the raised requirements? How do we elevate students to be beyond entry level? And one thing I've been thinking about is this principle of show, don't tell. I think it's very good because Dean Li, I think you mentioned experiential learning. I think I resonate with that a lot. Is you have to let the students experience what's going on, and what's the best way to experience something's going on? Show them how we do things, how we use AI to solve problems, how we actually, without AI, how we solve that problem. We talk about teaching the teachers, right? We are teachers. We can show them. We know how to teach. Can we show them some teaching technique that we apply on human students so they can, in the future, apply on AI agents? What's the difference? Right? So I think, this is really a higher bar, because for many years we have been telling, this is how you do things. This is what we talk about in a textbook. But I think that now we have a higher demand. A command is show, don't tell.
I go back to this old saying, really the best teaching is not just teach, what students need to think, but teach how they think, right? And that's part of that. Their skill sets they can apply for variety, anticipated situation scenarios they're going to encounter in life, in work, right, in the community. I think that really still is a guiding philosophy in the AI age. It's not that just we teach them the basics to how to use AI, but how to think about AI, how to master AI, how you can be in control and master the situation that AI is only part of your tools, right? So I think the how part probably is coincide with your meta teaching approach as well. Yeah.
In a sense, Fairfield Dolan for a long time has been teaching students, graduates, not just the specific skills, but how to build systems of humans, institutions, organizations, cultures. Those same things, it's very natural to now do with AI. You want to build not just one LLM or chatbot, but build a system of them that work together. So you need to establish institutions. You can't teach them how to think unless you've thought for yourself how to think, right?
Exactly. So coming back to your predictions of 2026, I think I would rather call them my personal hopes. I would like to hear yours, my personal hopes of what's going on, in 2026. I think we'll see more autonomous agents, the true agents. We've been talking about this last season of this podcast. What do we mean by agents? And I think 2025, it's below my expectation. What's going on? Even we call it the year of agents, is not really happening. I would love to see more autonomous agents, happening. And by doing that, we're talking about, how do you, Dr. Micu, you talk about communicating with AI. And right now, the only way we communicate with AI is we prompt them, right? Even through teaching, we prompt them. In 2026, I would love to see more AI prompting us. And that's something, I've been working on right now, is having an AI agent system prompting me what's going on. What do they need from me? Because think about this, that's part of the teaching. The good teacher a good teaching practice goes both ways, right? You have instructions, the teaching to student part, but you also want students to ask you questions, I don't understand this, or how do you do that? Do it that way. So I would love to see more AI prompting us, on kind of thing. And I think, in terms of a bigger picture in corporations, we're seeing the compute, which is the utmost capital right now. The compute actually goes two extremes. We have, these companies, for example, Amazon, building, I don't know, millions of, data centers across the US and across the world, right? That's one extreme. People are shooting for, extreme large compute. But we also have this, we talk about startups, we have this startup where they cannot afford a data center on their own. So will we see more specialized models surviving and actually perfecting in small compute? Well, we see that. We're already seeing some of that. So, when you have enough capital, you'll go the extreme large route. But the, smaller models, specialized models, like, we have students majoring in something. We may have models majoring in something. And the last one is, I think, as we've been saying that in 2025, and I think we'll see more in 2026, is prompting. Now, prompting goes both ways, right? Us prompting AI and AI prompting us. Prompting will remain as a core skill every student, every graduate would need in 2026.
Sounds reasonable to me. Sounds like a beautiful future.
Yeah. Well, I will, given the time constraint, I'll say the one that really in front of us. You start with 2026. So I'm really thinking about the mission of our university: value-based, student-centric, and outcome-focused. So the outcome focus is really weigh heavily in my mind and all of us, because our job, our duty is make sure our students are fully prepared, right, for the AI world. And as many we know, the AI future is a little bit unpredictable, right? We don't know what can happen. We think they're going to happen, like many things Jay Tower is talking about. But this, what's happened next year, the year after, is really, really unpredictable, uncertain. Where the technology going to turn to, or which direction, nobody knows. So I think for the best interest of our students, I'm hoping next year in Dolan, all the pieces will be fully implemented into place to build this T-shaped approach to integrate AI for our students' learning. When I say T-shaped, the horizontal bar is the AI literacy program we're talking about. I hope all of them in the places, so all the students graduate from Dolan will have the fundamental basic AI skills. And the vertical bar to the T is very specialized, AI specific program, the AI minor, AI major, and master AI analytics integration, all the specialized AI program for the student who are interested in develop deeper, heavier skills in AI, right? And I hope that the T-shaped approach is fully implemented in place. They can deal with all kinds of unpredictable, unimaginable, uncertain AI future, right? So doesn't matter where the AI goes, but have infrastructures, we have programs that are in place to integrate that, embed those new innovations of AI into our student learning. So that's my really prediction, a hope, right, for next year. So that's it.
I think Dilly covered, I think, what we would see for the school in terms of preparing students for good outcomes. So potentially the lesson for 2026, especially if you keep students in mind, is use your time well. And I think everything we do is kind of geared towards that. If Comet or ChatGPT can give you a full paper in 3 minutes or less, actually, then are you making sure that the time now that is available because of that is spent well? Are they reading that output? Are students reading that output and critically thinking about it and thinking of the implications? Are they doing something else instead of that time? So truly making sure that we spend our time well.
Sounds awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
This was great.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.